Hey YouTube, it's Sahita back at you again. The Lord, like I said, God said it's time. Speak your truth. So we're back with another session of speaking my truth, and I believe we left off with around the age of 5. Like I said, I was speaking about, the hardships that I faced at that time. And so moving on a little bit from that, now God told me I can prepare, and I went to a wonderful church today in my city also. And before I go any further, what you see in the background are my granddaughters. I actually got those for her the other day when I took her with me to the gym, and they have this like book box, and people donate books and stuff, and I got those. And another creator that has inspired me, I talked about her before, Maji Got the Tea. She had that shirt on, and I said in my next video I will actually show the books, the coloring books that I got when I went, like I said, for my granddaughter. So but moving on from there, like I said, we're gonna go forward a little bit past, like I said, the age of 5, because this, like I said, while it is to speak my truth and to speak about the trauma and different things I suffered, is also to because this story is not for me. And I'm so sorry, my voice is going to go in and out. I could feel like the devil trying to be one up on me and God today, and that's not happening. Trying to make me stop. My voice was going in and out before I even came on here. And then, just little things with the camera. I almost spilled juice all over me. I was just like, you just don't want me to go on the video. But we're going on the video. So, back to what I was saying. God said, and I already made like an agreement with him. I can prepare. And I also, like I said, got that at a church sermon today. It's good to prepare. That way you have that plan and then you can execute. Okay? So, but I'm not going to have a script per se, because I wanted to, spirit flow through me and get this out. So, like I said, going back that's my little notes that I'm looking at here in my vibe book. So, keep like a little journal of things, but just little notes that I was making. So after my dad's first heart attack, like I was saying, and wearing the glasses and all that stuff, going to fast forward just a little bit to like around between 7 through 11. First, we had a house fire, and we moved off of the street that we had been on, like I said, all my life up until age of 7. That was a little traumatic as well. I wrote a book about that. As a matter of fact, I forgot. I got like the Young Pulitzer America Prize for Youth or something. I don't know. I was very, very young. Like I said, 6 or 7. We moved from our household, our home address, like I said, where we were. And then between that time, I actually experienced, when we moved, like I said, to this new area between the ages of 7 and 11. Before my dad had his second, I think it was either right before or right after. And I apologize, I don't remember quite. My grandmother came to live with us. Now, my grandmother was my mother's mom. Her name, not even going to go into her name, but she was a wonderful grandmother. Now, this is not my dad's side. This is, like I said, my mom's side. And that's getting into a little bit more of, I was talking about my mom doesn't truly know who her real father is. I know that he is from the island Saint Martin. Martin, yes. Martin, I might be saying it wrong, I apologize. But I do know he's West Indian. My grandmother worked in New York. She actually was working in a diner at the time. This gentleman that came off of the boat, he could not speak English. The only English he could speak or they could actually remember, he would come in and ask for stew beef. Okay, so that was his name. That's what they called him. Excuse me. And so, like I said, my grandmother met him. Met my mom. Excuse me. And years later, she actually told my mom, "The man on your birth certificate is not your dad." And his last name was how they said it, because he was Creole, and this was the dad that's on her birth certificate. I believe his name was like Fortuné, but we say it Fortune. But how you say it in Creole is Fortuné. But that was not, and I believe his name was Alexander Fortuné or something. That's not her real father. Her real father was from the island, and that's all he could say was stew beef, so they called him stew beef. They do not have his name. We don't have any records of him, so I don't even, I just know I have some type of island, heritage blood. So, which makes sense because I absolutely love island anything. So, like I was saying, my grandmother, she came to us, and she, like I said, she was wonderful. We would have, I don't remember a lot of time with her because I was very young, but the time I do remember, we would sit and drink coffee together and have talks, which was, like the best. I would go over there, spend the night with her, right in her bed. She would just hold me close. I remember those times. But like I said, after that, her and her husband, I'll go into this a little bit. She actually, she was a part of several church groups. You know how we are, like I said, about finding a good church home, especially in our community. Well, the one that she had got involved with was the early Jim Jones sect. Before, of course, they went off and got the whole island, and he had everybody drink the cyanide and everything. So, of course, before that, my mom found out about it and cut it short. Basically told her to get her butt back home, because I think she traveled with them, because I think they, somewhere how she met them, they were here in our area, and then they went down to like our capital area, and she traveled down there with them. But my mom found out and thwarted that whole plan. Thank goodness, because we, might be, have another story there. But like I said, my mom stopped that, and I actually did a story about that back in college, because that was just like, wow, got a whole story to tell about that. So, I won't go all into it, but she was actually a part of that. Before they moved over to, I think it was it Ghana where they moved to? Yeah, or Guyana, wherever they moved to. It was before that. My mom stopped that. But she actually was with her husband at the time, and he was kind of abusive, I'll say that, and very restrictive. We believe, we can't prove it, but we believe he was the reason why actually her hip was broken. And after that happened, her health went down, and then he just basically brought her over to us one day. He said that she was feeding his dog, I believe, nails or something, and he couldn't take it no more, and he just dropped her off and said, "Here, you do something with her. I can't do nothing anymore with her." So by the time my grandmother came to us, she already had dementia, Alzheimer's, basically full blown. I was that nice lady. My mother was that sweet woman, sweet lady, but never our names. She didn't know my mother's names anymore, or my sister, even my oldest brother. So, that was also hard in itself to deal with. So while dealing with that, my dad, like I said, I don't know if that was before, during, it might have just been during, because it was a lot going on. Mind you, all this time, I'm in school, trying to be in school. That's a whole nother thing. We'll get there. So this happens. My grandmother comes. My dad has his, we're dealing with that. Like I said, that was a whole thing. Taking care of her in-house before we had to put her in a nursing home. We didn't have a choice towards the end of her life. But my dad, like I said, he had his second heart attack. And before that, like he was still playing in the band. He took us fishing and stuff a lot, which, you know, I learned how to descale fish, you name it, cut the heads off. Not saying I enjoyed it, but my dad made sure we were well-rounded. We was going to know how to cut, descale, and make sure you know how to, you know, make you some fish if you need to make some fish. Okay, Dad. So I wasn't really into bugs and all that, so those little lake cottage visits, you could be a little overwhelming for me. Sometimes I would go sit in the car, but when I didn't, like I said, my father, he, you know, he made sure he took the time out to show us things that he needed to show us. Like I said, things went on. My dad was still playing in the band. After this, my dad, at some point, before this, before my dad, well, I was going to say he went down south on a trip to go visit his family. Before that even happened, so going back just a little bit, I told you about my family. We have family that we're not originally from here. My dad's side, they're from like down south. So there's a whole family down south. Now they came up here to visit. However, trying to like us going down there, my sister tells me we've went there or they took us there before when I was younger. I don't remember ever going. If we did, it was only once or twice. I just want to say we didn't go. My grandparents never took us. Mind you, my cousins all got to go. They would take them, you know, go see the family, go to weddings, go to different events, go to reunions. We never got to go. As a matter of fact, the first reunion I went to, other than them coming here, was when I went there to Murfreesboro. And I was a little offended because I felt like I sat in a oven at 130, 40 degrees, and no one told me. I was so offended. I lost 10 pounds, people, 10 pounds in 2 days. How does that happen? Exactly. I was like, what's wrong with me? Oh my God, did I get something in me? Am I sick? No, I lost that much water weight, whatever weight. And you see, I'm not that big. So where'd it go? Where'd it come from? I'm not sure. So, off of that. So going there, like I said, hadn't been there before. They actually kept asking us, where are you from? Where y'all been? We ain't never met y'all. Why ain't nobody ever brought y'all here? Good question. So, again, we were all treated like the black sheep. So we never got to go, really. I never met those people like that. So, going back to what I was saying about my dad, had that second heart attack. When that happened, it was because he went down south by himself. My mother begged him, please, you know, don't go down there by yourself. Take somebody with you. Take one of your siblings. One of them can go with you. He called his brothers. Nobody could go. Nobody wanted to go. I couldn't say could go. Nobody wanted to go. So, again, found out nobody wanted to go. He said, skip it. He went. Mind you, this is down, like I said, Tennessee. Very long drive by yourself. All the way there, all the way back. I'm not sure, you know, like how many days, I don't remember. But when he came back, I don't even think he got to go take a shower and change. I don't even remember if he got to sit down and eat. I don't remember if it was the next day or the same day. I just remember it was right after that trip. He sat down, he looked up at me, he blinked his eyes. He said, hey, baby girl, what's wrong? I'll be okay. And once he did that, he came back and he was never the same. From that point on, my life was regarding Henry. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It stars Harrison Ford, and I was never the same. If you haven't seen the movie, I said you must watch it. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I said this, a lot of this is, it's a lot. So it turned into Guarding Henry, minus my mother. She did not do what Harrison Ford's wife did in the movie, which is she cheated on him because he was not the same person. In the movie, Harrison Ford gets shot in a convenience store and wakes up a totally different person. Totally different. It's exactly what happened to my dad. When I say totally different, we reversed roles. So instead of him being the parent, I basically turned into the parent. My mom had to work. My sister was, I don't think she lived with us at this time. I think she had moved out. But I apologize. And I lost my train of thought. So like I said, it turned into Regarding Henry. My dad was in the hospital the second time. The first time when he got, second time when he got sick, he was in the hospital. I was 11 when this happened. They pulled me. I was in 6th grade. They pulled me out of class, told me what's going on. Like I said, from that, actually, he went to the hospital and all that happened. But then I went to school. And when I went to school, they pulled us out of class because he had took a turn for the worse. That's right. Sorry, I had to remember that. Took a turn for the worse. Like I said, they were able to, stabilize him and everything. But he was in a coma a good 5 months. 6 months. They kept wanting to pull the plug. My mom was like, no. He has 2 children at home. We're not doing that. So, didn't pull the plug. And the way she brought him back, because he played drums, like I said, self-taught, she played one of his favorite songs in his ears, which was Tower of Power. Very powerful song with drums and horns and just wonderful song. And it was I apologize. I can't think of the name of it right now, but somebody will, catch that too. But it was Tower of Power. I remember that. He loved Tower of Power, and she played that, and those drums hitting in the horn, and in this headset, and there was no signs of life in my dad. She started playing that music. Everything, his fingers, his eyes, it was like, oh my God, what have you been doing? What did you bring? What is he be eating? No, it's her playing that music for him every day. She would come. Mom, man, like I said, she had to work. So in between her At this time, she was driving the bus. In between her driving the bus, taking care of us, and having to take care of my dad, she would literally come home, see, make sure I'm good with my grandmother, then run to the hospital, see my dad, take the music so he could hear the music, go back to work, go drive the bus, drop kids off, pick kids up, run back home, check on dinner, take us to the hospital so we could see our dad, get situated with him. We get home between 8 to 11. Anyway, so like I said, all this is while we're going to school. It's a lot. So, all that's going on. Like I said, Dad gets out. And before I go any further, so when my dad was sick, no one would come by. It's like all his family forgot that he was living. You know, I hate to say that. Yeah, when y'all see this, hear my truth. You forgot my father, your brother, your cousin, your uncle. You forgot him. I know because I was there with him. And my grandmother at the same time. And trying to keep my mind together. And my mom. And go to school. Now, I will say, my uncles, my dad's brothers, they came by one time. So of course, when, you go through things like stroke and heart attack and things like that, which is what my dad had, full system shutdown, everything. We had to teach him how to walk, talk, eat, think, everything, all over again, everything. He was so mad at God. He couldn't play drums anymore. He was so mad. So my dad would take it out on everyone else. He actually ran away one time, which was crazy, after he got better. So wait, let me tell this before I talk about him running away. Like I said, my uncles would come by sometimes, once, because after my dad went over everybody's houses, like I said, 'cause he was so mad, he would wet himself. He would have, just anywhere, and nobody, of course, you're an adult, nobody wants to take care of that. You're a grown man, so they get mad, they drop him off, they wouldn't come back and get him. Couldn't go back over his own mother's. Didn't go in nobody else's car. Nobody would come get him, take him nowhere. They just, oh well, it's your husband, it's your dad, it's your people, deal with that. Okay, so, like I said, Dad was so mad because he couldn't play drums anymore. So after we taught him and we went to physical therapy, taught him how to do everything all over again, he gets mad because, of course, he just wants to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. He just decides he wants to leave, and he decides to, sorry about that, he decides to up and leave, and he wanted us to go to, I believe, it was our capital at this time. So he wants to go there and go have fun and everything. So actually, he just left. He didn't even decide where he wanted to go, or didn't say where he was going. He just left. So as a matter of fact, it was on the news, and my grandparents and everybody on that side wanted to get all up in arms and upset at my mom, because we wasn't worried about him. She wasn't worried about him. She knew he was off doing something stupid. And, because he was just mad. And mad at life, mad at God. And, like I said, just taking it out on that. And they called the news. He was on the news. They had an APB out for him because he's a, elder adult he had stroke and heart attack and all that. So everybody's just up in arms. I don't like he'll be back. He come back a couple days later. It's so embarrassing. So I told you guys my dad, because of course he didn't want to, he just gave up. Didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to go use the bathroom, take a bath, anything because he was just so mad. I don't remember if we got rid of his vehicle right after this, but I think we did because the smell, when I tell you, he never got out ever to go to the bathroom, to do anything. This is so deeply personal. But like I said, my story isn't just for me. God told me, get on here because it's for somebody else too. Somebody else needs to hear this. When I tell you, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you face, no matter what you think you can't handle, you think you can't push through, you can. Me being able to sit here and tell that part of my story, that was one of the most hardest things to face, to go through, for anybody else to hear about. Like I said, this is my father. I had to clean my father up like he was my child, you know? I don't regret one day of it. I'm still here. He ain't done with me yet. But that's what my father thought. And he just gave up. So, literally, like I said, never got out the car, so the whole van, or, vehicle, it just was horrible. So we had to get that. Like I said, I don't even know if we gave it away after that, but it was bad. So, fast forward a little bit, we went through years and years of that, up until my father passed away when I was 18. So from the age of 11 to 18, it was just years and years and years of that. Towards the end, my grandparents and the other side of the family was fighting with my mom because of things going on with Medicaid. This was before, I believe, the governor had came up with the law. I think it was the governor here in Indiana, I believe. Bannon, I want to say. It was the elder law that they came up with, where impoverished spouse rule, where you can't just, when one spouse has to go to the nursing home, how Medicaid will just snatch the house, the car, any assets, basically impoverishing the spouse, the family, the children. And so I think it was because he had that same thing happen to him, and he was taking care of his mother. And so he made a rule that, so basically the wife can still keep the home, and the kids, can stay in the home as well. So, like I said, all that, fast forward, they were fighting with my mom, and my mom had to technically divorce him. This was before that law came into effect. Had to divorce him so that they wouldn't take the house, so that we could live, because his kids were still living in the house. I'm not going to take the house so he can go to the nursing home. That's not fair. We know he's young, because this was all before the age of 41. I think my dad died at 40 or 41. He didn't even make it to 42. So, excuse me. Like I said, after all this, to fast forward a little bit, so all that happened. My dad, like I said, passed away by the time I was 18. So my grandmother passes away in between there. I want to say right before or right after my dad passes. So before, I want to say by or before the age of 21, I not only lost my dad, I lost all my grandparents. So I have no grandparents alive by the time I'm 21. And so all I basically have left is the aunts, uncles, and my mom. My sisters and brothers, of course. But so fast forward a little bit, go through a bunch of crazy stuff. I actually get diagnosed with a ailment around the year of 2011. And you know what? That is a really good place for me to leave off. I will come back. I'll let God, I'll meditate on that. Let Him tell me, should I release the diagnosis? Which, you know what? I will. Let's just go ahead and cover that. 2011. Blindsided. I already went through all that stuff in life. Was still trying to work on me, you know. I had just finished up a bachelor's degree at that time, and just blindsided. I actually lost, which would have been, he would have been an ex-fiance, but lost him, which took me so long to get over. Oh my God. But I was with him on and off for like 12 and a half, 13 years of my life. Losing him, that took a lot. Losing a parent, a grandparent is one thing. Losing a significant other, it just hits you different. It does. It's a totally different hit to the soul. It is. So, after losing him that year, it said this was 2011. Towards the end of 2011, I get blindsided again. After